The crimson sand of Kepler 442b stretched endlessly beneath Commander Sarah Chen's boots as she knelt beside the makeshift grave. The magnetic storm had passed 3 days ago, but the metallic tang still lingered in the thin atmosphere. Around her, the remnants of Terra Nova Colony's 57 souls lay buried in shallow graves, their dreams of a new world extinguished by the Zephyrian war machines. "Another one gone dark," muttered Lieutenant Torres, his voice crackling through the comm static. "That makes 18 colonies now. No survivors, no distress beacons that made it past the jamming fields." Chen's jaw tightened as she activated her quantum entanglement communicator, humanity's last hope for faster-than-light communication. The device hummed with exotic particles, its crystalline core pulsing with an eerie blue light. If Earth Command was going to respond, they needed to know the truth about what was happening on the frontier worlds. "Earth Command, this is Recon Unit 7. She transmitted into the quantum void. Kepler 442b colony is gone. Same signature as the other's plasma bombardment from orbit, followed by ground sweeps. The Zephyrians aren't just conquering, they're exterminating. Every human settlement past the Goldilocks belt has been sterilized." The response came back 13 minutes later, not from the quantum delay, but from the bureaucratic machinery of distant Earth. "Acknowledged, Commander Chen. Continue reconnaissance. Reinforcements are being considered." Torres spat into the dust. "Considered? They've been considering for 6 months, while we've watched colony after colony burn." Chen understood the politics. Earth was comfortable, prosperous, and 47 light-years away from the carnage. The frontier colonies had been expendable outcasts, criminals, dissidents, and dreamers, seeking a fresh start among the stars. Why risk Earth's precious fleet for people who'd already been forgotten? The Zephyrians had calculated correctly. Humanity would abandon its far-flung children rather than fight for them. Or so they thought. The first sign something had changed came 3 weeks later on the dead world of New Johannesburg. Chen's unit was documenting another massacre when their sensors detected massive gravitational distortions at the system's edge. Space itself seemed to ripple and bend, reality warping like heated metal. "What the hell?" Torres whispered, staring at his instruments. "I'm reading exotic matter signatures. Massive ones. Something's coming through." The first ship emerged from the quantum foam like a leviathan breaching from an ocean of stars. It was vast beyond comprehension, a kilometer-long dreadnought of gunmetal gray and burning chrome, its hull bristling with particle cannons and fusion torpedoes. The ship's quantum drives cast aurora-like patterns across the darkened sky as it stabilized in real space. But it wasn't alone. More ships followed, dozens, then hundreds. Earth's entire home fleet was translating into the system, their combined mass causing tidal forces that made the planet's 3 moons dance in disturbed orbits. The dreadnoughts moved with predatory grace, their AI-guided systems already calculating firing solutions and tactical deployments. Chen's quantum communicator crackled to life. The voice that emerged was crisp, professional, and utterly cold. "This is Admiral Zhang Wei, aboard the ESV Yamamoto. All human personnel are to maintain safe distance. We are commencing sterilization protocols." The Zephyrian fleet, 12 ships, that had seemed invincible just moments before, tried to flee. Their plasma drives flared desperately as they attempted to reach jump distance, but they might as well have tried to outrun gravity itself. The Earth dreadnoughts didn't waste time with warnings or demands for surrender. Humanity had moved beyond such courtesies. The first salvo came from the Yamamoto's spinal mount, a relativistic projectile, accelerated to 90% light speed. The tungsten penetrator struck the lead Zephyrian cruiser amidships, the kinetic energy release equivalent to a small star going nova. The alien ship simply ceased to exist, converted to plasma and exotic radiation. The massacre lasted 6 minutes. When the last Zephyrian ship had been reduced to expanding clouds of ionized metal, Admiral Zhang's voice returned to the comm channels. "Commander Chen, you are ordered to rendezvous with the Yamamoto immediately. Earth Command has new orders for all frontier reconnaissance units." Aboard the flagship, Chen found herself face to face with a man who had become legend. Admiral Zhang Wei was humanity's greatest military mind, the architect of the solar system's defenses. His eyes held the cold fire of someone who had made peace with necessary atrocities. "You thought we'd abandoned you," he said without preamble. "The frontier colonies, the scattered settlements, you believed Earth had written you off as acceptable losses." Chen nodded. There was no point in diplomatic lies. "We did," Zhang continued. "For 6 months, we watched the reports and calculated the cost of intervention. The High Council decided you weren't worth the risk to Earth's security." The Admiral moved to the observation deck, where the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns. But then our quantum archaeologists made a discovery in the ruins of Terra Nova. The Zephyrians weren't just killing humans, they were studying us. Learning our biology, our technology, our psychology. Every colony they destroyed brought them closer to understanding how to assault Earth itself. Chen felt ice form in her stomach. "You mean?" They were never planning to stop at the frontier. The colonies were practice runs for the real invasion. Zhang's reflection smiled in the reinforced viewport, an expression devoid of warmth. "So Earth Command has authorized a new doctrine. Not defense. Not negotiation. Complete genocide." Outside, the Dreadnoughts were already moving toward the next system, their quantum drives bending space-time around them. Humanity's children hadn't been abandoned. After all, they had become the catalyst for something far more terrible. The Zephyrians had wanted to test humanity's resolve. They were about to discover that some tests should never be failed. As the fleet disappeared into the quantum foam, heading toward the Zephyrian home systems, Commander Chen understood the bitter irony. The frontier colonies had died believing themselves forgotten. In truth, their deaths had awakened something in humanity that had been sleeping since the species first looked up at the stars and dreamed of conquest. The Zephyrians thought no one would come for the scattered human settlements. They had been catastrophically wrong.